Mike, I am doing great, and it is a pretty nice November afternoon. We just hope that the Eagles can play up to par this weekend. That was such a disappointing loss. I mean, God, I'm still thinking about it. I'm still trying to make sense of it, to tell you the truth. I know a lot of people around the Delaware Valley are doing the same thing.
They sure are, Sal, and they get that big lead. They get too confident. They take the foot off the gas. What happens to a team? What is the identity of a team that can't put away a 16-3 game at home against a team like Miami?
Yeah, I don't know. They don't have one right now. They certainly do not. They are in the heart of the mediocrity of the National Football League, as Chip Kelly attested to after the game. But the bottom line is this. Two things happened in that game that allowed them to fail. And the first was poor play calling from, basically the second quarter on. Even while Bradford was playing, I thought the decision to run that inside zone read run play right into the teeth of the Miami Dolphins front seven over and over again was foolhardy. It proved to be. And then the final play call that resulted in Mark Sanchez's interception. You know that Sanchez is prone to throw interceptions, especially late in the game. You had a chance to run the ball and kick the field goal and go home a winner. And I don't know what it was, arrogance, hubris, whatever. But Chip Kelly, the play caller, definitely did not do his team any favors.
I agree. Sal Pal with us here. Sal Pal Fridays. They're going to go with Mark Sanchez this week. Bradford out, possibly.
Got no choice. But I'll tell you this, Mike. I hate to interrupt you, but, the bottom line is your quarterback, and I have said this to you many times before, but just to reiterate for those people who have never heard me say it, because I get it straight from Ron Jaworski and those people who really know the game and have played the game, and from covering the game for so long, your quarterback has to do two things. One, he must get you out of trouble on third down. He must be able to throw your football team out of trouble on third down and convert. And two, he must put your team in the end zone. He must score 7. Can't settle for field goals. Your quarterback must get you into the end zone. So let's look at Bradford on third down. Bradford's completion percentage on third down has been near the bottom through the entire season. With him on the bench now, he finishes pretty much with 48% completion rate on third down. That is third from the bottom behind Nick Foles and Blake Bortles before the Thursday night game last night.
Ouch.
But he's worst in the league. Number 32 out of 32 starters in yards per attempt on third down. 4.01 yards per attempt. Nobody, I'm looking right at it. I'm looking right at the numbers. Nobody else in the league is under 5.5 yards. So he is a yard and a half less than the guy in 31st position. And just to give you a example of a comparison, Tom Brady is 9 yards per attempt on third down. 9.
Oh, wow. And I see
Austin Palmer is 8.5. Jay Cutler is 9.5.
And Sal, there's a significant difference in yards per attempt on any down between Sanchez and Bradford. There's a full yard difference between those two guys.
So I'm not lamenting the fact that Sam Bradford's on the bench.
I don't know that a lot of people are. He moved the ball. The people would say Sanchez moved the ball. It looked more fluid. Is he just a better fit than Sam Bradford? I'm not saying he's a better quarterback than Bradford. That's 220, 221, I guess, if you really ask. But is he a better fit for Chip Kelly?
I don't know if Chip Kelly's offense is even suited for the NFL. I just think right now he's allowed the offensive line to deteriorate over the last 2 years to the point where you have backups playing at starting positions. Nobody can block Sue on that offensive line, and they didn't do any kind of adjustment to help Tobin out or to help Kelsey out, and they should have. Their offensive line play is built into their system. They have a zone blocking scheme. It's pretty much one-on-one. They do very little double teaming. he's pretty much abandoned the 3 wide receiver set because he doesn't have 3 wide receivers. He's almost exclusively now in a 2 tight end set. And, it's a team that just doesn't have the personnel. And go back now. Let's go back to the offseason. What did we say? Well, why do you have Ryan Matthews on the team? He's going to get hurt. Ryan Matthews is hurt. Why are you trading for Kiko Alonso? He's always hurt. Kiko Alonso's been hurt. Why are you trading for Sam Bradford? He always gets hurt. Sam Bradford's on the sideline. So the three of the biggest moves that he's made have been have shown to be exactly what they were. Players getting hurt. And then, of course, the biggest one is the big bust, and that's DeMarco Murray. I think it's time to call the guy a bust. Mm-hmm. He's averaged 2.8 yards a carry versus the Dolphins, 29 yards on 13 carries in the final 3 quarters. I mean, come on.
Good point. I wasn't a big fan of the Murray signing. I guess this goes back to giving big money to a running back. The Eagles realistically didn't need to do that.
Who does that?
Right,
Who
exactly.
Does that?
And is that something that Jeffrey Lurie needs to take a serious look at, Sal?
Oh, absolutely. And Kelly's right about one thing. The NFL is historically mediocre. It is. There are only 11 teams with a winning record, the fewest entering Week 11 since 1990. That's 25 years. There are 11 teams alone sporting a 4-5 record. Never happened before. 11 teams. Yeah. And you look at the AFC South and the NFC East. Texans are Colts 4-5, Giants are 5-5, have teams leading their division with non-winning records. According to Elias, Mike, this is the first time there's been multiple divisions where the leaders had non-winning records through Week 10.
I opened my show today, Sal, asking that very question. Do fans like the parody? And it's like the commercial where you get a participant. This Eagles game, if they win, it's good. If they lose, they're not out of it. It's like everybody gets a participation trophy. The game really doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's pretty true. I don't know what's going to happen with the New England Patriots or the Carolina Panthers, but those two teams seem to be clearly ahead of the others.
Sal, I want to get your thoughts on the Jason Peters. It almost seems like a fiasco. He said he's not practicing today. Peters is out in the practice field. Lane Johnson said, I think I'm playing right tackle this week. Peters doesn't practice today. What do you make of how the Eagles and Chip Kelly in particular have, number one, handled the Peters mess, and number two, handled the injury situation in general?
Yeah, it's a mess. And, the bottom line is we won't see Jason Peters back next year. He turns 34 in January. He has a $7.5 million base salary in 2016 and a $9.3 million salary cap number. So he's not playing at a reasonably high level when he's, I guess when he's healthy, he is. But, the older you get, it's harder to stay healthy. And now you go into the season where you don't know who your quarterback is. You don't know who your left tackle is. You don't know who your number one wide receiver is in 2016. So if you don't know who your starting left tackle is in the NFL and you're a passing team, you got a problem.
Did they want to be a passing team? I mean, with these wide receivers and the running back they brought in, did he figure we're just going to run the ball? We won't ask the wide receivers to make a lot of plays?
And it hasn't worked out, has it?
No, it hasn't.
No, and you know what bailed them out last year, Mike? What bailed them out last year is they had 7 special teams touchdowns and 4 defensive touchdowns. Mm-hmm. Special teams were a huge advantage. This year, what are you seeing out of special teams? They've already had 2 block punts.
They're giving up points.
Yeah. I mean, if you have 1 block punt in a year, that's a lot. You got 2 block punts, and we're only in Week 11. That means your special teams are broken.
Well, is it fair to say then, he was asked about all the changeover, and he doesn't want to really think that that's a factor here, but are we going to see more changeover between this year and next year? I mean, you're going to probably have a lot of wholesale changes yet again, right?
Yeah, that's what I totally agree. You're going to see a lot of wholesale changes. And this team is going to be, basically spinning its wheels.
Sal, I want to ask you, too, about Sproles. He said he wants more opportunities. He says, I'm not getting enough chances. When you got a guy like Darren Sproles, now he's been here 25 games now, he's been here, a season and a half. So he finally has spoken up. Is that an indication that people are starting to not buy into what the coach is selling?
No, I think there's a little bit of that. But, it's pretty obvious what's happening to Darryl Sproles. The head coach is trying to justify what the GM did, and they're the same person. So listen, they got to win some ball games. They got to win the next two. If they even split the next two, it's dark territory for this team. And good Lord, could you imagine them losing back-to-back games to the Dolphins and Bucs at home?
Would be awful. I could imagine seeing signs similar to the end of the Reed era. This is on you, Jeffrey. I think the fans would turn that almost that fast, don't you?
They have already. Everywhere I go, I don't know, you hear from people. I think the fans are beyond frustrated, and they're seriously questioning all of these decisions I know there's people who say, you need to give Chip Kelly 3 years as a GM before you can really grade him, but I'm sorry. People around here don't have that much time, especially when Kelly was sold as someone who was going to make swift changes and they were going to work out. So now you're in year 3 of the Kelly era with 2 more to go on this current contract. And, but Jeffrey Lurie's never been really good at measuring or calibrating the frustration with the fan base. And he doesn't really have to. When you look at the Forbes top 10 list, the Eagles are always in the top 10 in value, always in the top 10 in revenue, always in the top 10 in profits in the National Football League, no matter if they go 4-12, 6-10, or 10-6.
Sal Pal, Friday here, they lost to Miami last week. They're going to play Tampa. Jameis Winston, this team was the worst team in football. They got a little energy. They just, they beat Dallas last week. What would be the fear in this game if you're Philadelphia?
Well, that you couldn't move the ball. And I think that's a real fear. The Bucs play that cover 2, Tampa 2 defense where you see the safeties deep. They don't let anything behind them. You should be able to run the ball. You have a lot of underneath routes. And what they force you is to go into long, extended drives and wait for you to make a mistake. And that's going to play right into the hands of Mark Sanchez's propensity to make the mistake at the wrong time. So the Eagles have to be extraordinarily patient. In the 8 of the 10 games that Sanchez has played in an Eagles uniform, he's thrown an interception.
Yikes.
In the 2 games where he has not thrown an interception, Mike, the Eagles have won by a combined 47 points.
Wow.
So, it's the age. Boy, we repeat ourselves no matter who the quarterback is, but especially with this team, there's not much margin for error. I'm looking at the predictions in the Philadelphia Daily News, and nobody has the Eagles scoring more than 21 points. That's the problem, though, is in the Chip Kelly era, if this Eagles score 23 points or fewer, the Eagles are 0-12. 0-12.
I know your colleague over at ESPN, Field Yates, wrote a column saying that the Eagles and Rams would like an off-season do-over. I'm sure the Rams don't mind having a second-round pick, but would the Eagles like a do-over on this move?
What's the Field based that on?
Basically just saying that they would probably like their second-round pick back and let Bradford stay in St. Louis and maybe take one more shot with Nick Foles.
Was he quoting anybody? I didn't see that.
No, I think
it's just
an opinion
conjecture.
piece. He has five off-season moves that probably.
Foles has been benched. Foles lost his job basically because of poor play. Bradford's been hurt. But you can make the argument that Bradford should have lost his job due to poor play, too. It's a wash, except for that second-round pick. If it had been straight up, Foles for Bradford, you probably wouldn't hear as much squawking about it. But the decision to throw in that second-round pick, it hamstrings your ability to rebuild your team in a way that you want to. And I wonder if the Eagles, what they're going to do at the quarterback position now is back to ground zero because they don't have Bradford locked up. They know they can't go forward with Sanchez as the starter in 2016 or they'll lose a large chunk of the fan base. They can't go forward with Bradford, Mike, in my opinion, for the same reason. So they're back to ground zero, back to the drawing board on the quarterback position. And I wonder if they'll try to reach out mark my words, I think Kelly and his front office is going to reach out and try to trade for a quarterback. I do. If they can't figure out whether Stafford's the long-term guy or they've decided to move on, they will try to trade for a quarterback because I think they need a quick fix. They can't wait around for a young guy to develop.
I agree with that.
I don't know who that guy would be. Maybe it would be Kaepernick. Maybe Detroit says they want to pull the plug on the Matthew Stafford era. I don't know who it could be, but I would see the Eagles out there beating the bushes to try to make a trade sometime in the offseason.
I would agree with that comment. Sal Paolantonio, everybody, here every Friday with the Sal Pal Friday. Enjoyed all the games and the nice weekend weather. It's supposed to be a little chilly on Sunday, but tomorrow's supposed to be nice. Enjoy it, pal.
All right. See you, Mike. Thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate it very much.